I started my music production journey in Cakewalk by BandLab, which is essentially Cakewalk Sonar minus the modern UI and some workflow additions. At the core, it is the same DAW. If you're new here, this channel is built around Cakewalk tutorials and production, and I've released multiple tracks produced with it. About 2.5 years ago, I tried REAPER, and over time, it became my primary DAW. I've released tracks produced with REAPER as well. So yes, I have seriously worked in both the DAWs at least for 2 years each. I also have experience with Cubase and Studio One, so I do know where these two stand relative to other DAWs. I also felt it was only fair to my subscribers to compare the DAW they have seen me use in this channel with the DAW I've actually been using during the break from the channel. This video is simply the differences and similarities that I personally found relevant to me while using both the DAWs in different projects. You can find my music on streaming platforms under these names, but here you can call me ADK. And with that, let's start with the feature that originally made me try REAPER seriously for the first time. In Cakewalk Sonar, we can load one video per project and it lives in its own track at the top, while the associated audio will live in the Clips pane, but it will not be linked to the video. Concerning the editing possibilities, we can trim the start and end of the video, but the video is locked to the project start and cannot be freely repositioned on the timeline. So it's all about adding audio to the video. But in REAPER, we can import as many video clips as we want and they all live in the arrange view. They don't have any thumbnails though. And when it comes to editing, we can trim, split, stretch, and do all that stuff and everything works as expected.
Hola! Soy Dora!
So essentially, we can pin the video track on top and work with it like in Cakewalk, or take advantage of its additional video editing capabilities like this.
Hola! Soy Dora! Un sandwich? Hola! Soy Dora! Hola! Soy Dora! Hola! Soy Dora! Un sandwich?
Yep, I tried REAPER in order to make that. Now let's compare the workflow between the two DAWs. In Cakewalk Sonar, there are different track types and each of them are meant to handle either MIDI clips or audio clips in the clips pane. Now aux tracks can also take audio from other tracks, but down here are the actual bus tracks whose only purpose is to take audio from other tracks and process it. And just to be clear, the folders in Cakewalk do not affect the audio signal in any way. They are only for visual organization. Now in REAPER, there's only one track type and it handles everything. It can even be a folder, which also means it becomes the bus track for the tracks inside it. Oh, and the audio from the child tracks do flow into the parent track.
Hola!
When it comes to tracks in Cakewalk Sonar, every plugin type lives in their own dedicated slot. Instrument plugins only load as instrument tracks, and these tracks can only hold one instrument per track. Audio effects go in the effects bin or pro channel effects chain of a track that outputs audio, and that does include the bus tracks. And MIDI effects only load in the effects bin of MIDI tracks. Also, the audio signal goes through plugins in series, one after the other. When it comes to tracks in REAPER, we have an effects chain where we can add any kind of plugin. I've just added 3 instrument plugins. Now I'm adding a couple of audio effects, and now a MIDI effect plugin. The order of the plugins do matter though. I mean, the MIDI effects has to hit the MIDI before it gets turned into audio. Also, we can run a plugin in parallel with the one above it. And finally, we can add containers, which are basically an effects chain inside an effects chain, and we can nest them as deep as we want. So the way this actually works is pretty simple. Anything that understands MIDI reacts to MIDI, while anything that understands audio reacts to audio. Since I disabled everything, we will only hear the audio item and not the MIDI, because MIDI does not have any audio on its own. Now we are going to enable this instrument plugin and it will react only to the MIDI and not the audio item. Now we are going to enable this effects plugin down here and it will process any audio passing through it, including the audio item and the audio generated by the instrument plugin. Now about the multiple instrument plugins, I'll enable everything step by step so you can hear what's happening. Unlike what we just saw, using MIDI effects before an instrument in Cakewalk means loading them on a separate MIDI track and routing that track's output into the instrument. And when a MIDI effects gets classified as an instrument plugin, we have to enable its MIDI output and fake it as an external MIDI input. It works, but I think it's an inefficient workaround. That's MIDI routing. And now for audio routing, we set the outputs directly on the track and add sends from the send module. We can also drop an effects plugin into the send section, which auto creates a bus and sets up the routing for us. Notice how the destination list is clearly split into categories. Well, routing happens directly to those destinations, and we can see that if the signal is being sent to a track or a plugin. I think it's worth mentioning that the bus tracks live in a separate space compared to all the other tracks, not only in the console view, but also in the Clips pane. Now in Reaper, we can drag tracks onto other tracks to create buses and drag the routing button onto tracks to create sends, and if it's for sidechaining, we can drag it onto the sidechain plugin itself. By default, sends carry both audio and MIDI, and we can disable whichever one we do not need. Now if we open up the routing window, we can see every send and every receive for a track in one glance. And yes, receives too. Notice that the list only shows tracks, not plugins, even the ones with sidechain inputs. That's because in Reaper, we are routing into additional track channels and the plugins listen to those channels for sidechain input. Also, all the tracks live in the same space and the track indentation makes the audio signal flow visually obvious in both the arrange view and the mixer, but at the same time, sends can only display the destination tracks or maybe even the channels of that track. At a glance, it does not show which plugins are making use of that routed audio signal. Alright, now let's move on to automation. In Cakewalk, we can right-click an automation line and choose from 4 preset shapes, but we cannot adjust the degree of the curves. There's no Ctrl+D duplication, but we do have copy and paste. We can freehand draw, and if we go into the Tools menu, we can pick a wave shape and apply it directly to the lane. Now in case of Reaper, we can adjust the curve tension and duplication works normally alongside copy and paste. But my favorite feature regarding automation is the automation item. We can move it around like any other item, create pooled duplicates where editing mirrors each other, and we can even stretch it. Also, double-clicking one of them gives us more detailed options, and we also get wave shapes which offer way more flexibility. Talking about customization, Cakewalk does offer some typical flexibility, like we can move the windows around, dock or detach them. And in the preferences window, we also have some display customizations like color schemes and all. We can also add, remove, rearrange or customize the given modules in the control bar. But honestly, I never felt the need for theming or heavy customization in Cakewalk because everything an average producer would use is available in the open. But with Reaper, it's pretty empty to the point where basic things like grid line resolutions are not out in the open. It almost feels like the Reaper devs want us to build our own DAW on their canvas. To show you what I mean, this is one of my projects open in a portable Reaper installation. And this is the exact same project open in my customized setup. You know, the one that I actually use. So yeah, Reaper lets us mess with basically everything. But the real upgrade happens when we start using scripts. For example, here is a script that gives us the missing grid resolution dropdown, but this one can also auto-adjust with the horizontal zoom. Here is another that gives us a quick color picker for tracks. And then this global sampler on top is another script. Even in the MIDI editor, I have added this script which can detect chords based on the notes that are played simultaneously. I actually have quite a number of scripts in my DAW, but that is beyond the scope of this video. Anyway, the point is, customization in Reaper is not just visual. It is functional and it can even expand beyond the existing functionality. Now, the media browser in Cakewalk is basically a simple file explorer with audio preview built into the DAW. And if you search for something in a big sample collection, it's going to take quite a long time to find the results. On the other hand, the Media Explorer in Reaper is much faster at pulling up search results. And when we click a file, we can actually see the waveform. The Explorer can detect the pitch, we can shift the pitch, change the rate, scrub through it, or even drag in just the specific slice that we want and not the entire sample. This one is going to be interesting. Here in Cakewalk's project audio folder, we can see a file called Glimmer. That's this audio clip in the project. I'm going to split it and transpose this one semitone up. This creates a new clip, which we can also see in the folder. If I keep transposing it multiple times, like when experimenting with different pitches during production, artifacts start to pile up because transposing audio will create artifacts and each transpose works on the newly created file. Now it's back to the original pitch, but listen to the accumulated artifacts. can shift the pitch as many times as we want without any artifact buildup. This is because the process is fully non-destructive and doesn't create new files. Okay, this one is easy to miss. In Cakewalk Sonar, we can undo a bunch of editing steps just fine. However, some types of tweaks do not get logged in. For example, if we add a plugin, tweak some parameters inside the plugin, adjust the track fader, and then hit undo, it goes straight into undoing the addition of the plugin because that was the last action logged into the undo history. In order to undo a fader move, we had to right-click the fader and use the revert option, but it only flips between the last two values. Now in case of REAPER, we can undo everything, even including parameter changes inside third-party plugins. Nothing is exempted from the undo history. This might matter if you work a lot with MIDI. Here in Cakewalk Sonar, if we double-click a MIDI clip, it brings up the entire piano roll view of that instrument track. So we cannot figure out the MIDI clip region in the piano roll view. We could go into View and enable the option Show Clip Outlines, but it does not differentiate between the individual MIDI clips. While in REAPER, by default, if we double-click a MIDI item, it will only show that particular MIDI clip. Even if the clip is a looped MIDI clip, we can differentiate between the individual clips by the greenish vertical lines. Now, a small change in the preferences will enable us to open the entire MIDI of a track, just like in Cakewalk. Now let's talk installation. With Cakewalk, we install Cakewalk Product Center, and from there, we can install Cakewalk Next or Cakewalk Sonar, along with whatever bundled plugins we want. We do have to be logged into our BandLab account, and this official documentation shows around 5 GB as the required disk space for installing Cakewalk Sonar. With REAPER, it's a 15 MB download, and it might be one of the simplest installations that we can go through. We do not even have to log in to complete the installation. Now, if we bring back the install window, we can see that REAPER only needs about 150 MB of disk space. But the real reason I wanted to include this installation comparison is because of the portable installation. When we install REAPER as portable, it does not touch the registry or anything like that. It just lives inside one folder, and we can have multiple portable REAPERs in the same system for different purposes. We can even copy that folder into a USB flash drive and use it in a different system without an actual installation. So what do we get? Cakewalk Sonar comes with a decent set of stock effects plugins, including some analog ones that actually hold up pretty well. And yes, we do get some instrument plugins that are kind of okay. If we are on the paid membership, we get access to BandLab samples from right inside the DAW, which can be really useful in our production. Now, REAPER also comes with a solid set of stock effects plugins, but we might have a little more variety here. But the real bonus is JSFX, which is REAPER's own scripting format for audio plugins, and anyone can refer it. The community has already built a lot of free JSFX, which we can download and use in REAPER. But we only get 2 instrument plugins, of which the sampler plugin is the usable one. And also, we do not get any audio samples bundled with REAPER. Cakewalk does have a few features that REAPER doesn't offer out of the box. There's the matrix view, which is basically the closest thing to an Ableton-style performance setup, where we can trigger loops and patterns. I even made a video on it back when it was Cakewalk by BandLab. Then there's the articulation map available in the MIDI editor that is extremely useful if you do a lot of orchestral programming. And the inspector shows detailed info for whatever you select, along with a full channel strip view on the left side of the timeline. REAPER, on the other hand, has way too many features that do not exist in Cakewalk. So I'm only going to mention 2 that I rely on a lot. First is custom actions. So this here is the action window, and in REAPER, almost everything you do, whether it's a menu command, a right-click option, or an edit on a MIDI event, or anything that you can think of, exists here as an action. And you can chain actions together to create custom actions or cycle actions and essentially build your own workflow. Now for the second one, if you are trying out ideas on a MIDI keyboard without hitting record, REAPER can still bring that performance back into the track. This feature is called retroactive MIDI recording, and I honestly find it very hard to work without this now. Now let's see how all of these affects the pricing. Most of the users are going to stick with Cakewalk's free tier, which does have some limitations as you can see here. And if we want to unlock all of these features, we can click the Get Membership button to get to this page. We see the pricing to be $14.95 per month or $70 annually for the first year. But this isn't really the price of Cakewalk alone. As a matter of fact, Cakewalk Sonar is not even mentioned in this page. So it's almost like Sonar is a secondary product. And what we're actually paying for is the BandLab membership, which includes features of the browser DAW and the mobile application, I guess. And then we have distribution and other membership features. And we already saw that with paid membership, we do get access to BandLab samples from right inside the DAW. But keep in mind that $70 is only for the first year, and it's definitely going to be higher than that for the subsequent years. If we go into the distribution page, there is a mention of $99 per year, so it could be that. I don't know. Don't come after me if it's something else. Now in case of Reaper, it is a paid DAW, and unlike Cakewalk, it does not have a free tier. What it does offer is a 60-day evaluation copy, which does not have any feature limitations at all. But even after that is expired, Reaper does not lock you out or restrict features. Still, this is not a free license. You are expected to pay if you continue using it. So Reaper has 2 licenses, but for most of us, the $60 discounted license is sufficient. When we pay for Reaper, we are buying a license for the current major version as well as the following major version. At the moment, Reaper is on version 7.57, so if we buy a license now, it covers all updates in version 7 and all the updates in version 8 up to version 8.99. Once version 9 is released, we can either renew the license to continue receiving updates or keep using version 8.99 indefinitely. And looking at the release history, recent major versions have each lasted around 4 years on average. So the license is likely going to be valid for at most 8 years or at the very least 4 years of updated Reaper. From everything we have discussed so far, Reaper might look like the better option, right? On paper, it is the more powerful and capable DAW, but that does not make it the right DAW for everyone. If you're a total beginner, I would not recommend Reaper. After the box, it is too blank, and if you do not know what to expect from a typical DAW, that blank slate is going to be a problem. Many features are buried in context menus, and Reaper's behavior is simply a bit different. This is where Cakewalk does a much better job. Cakewalk also comes with sensible defaults, while Reaper has some weird ones. For example, what do you expect when we do a simple mouse wheel scroll? In most softwares, including DAWs and video editors, we expect vertical scrolling, right? Well, in Reaper, it does horizontal zooming by default. There are quite a few weird ones like this, and this does create friction. So for beginners, I think Cakewalk Sonar is the better option. The fact that it has a genuine free tier only makes the decision easier. And in fact, I think it is the best free DAW out there among all the free DAWs. Now on the professional side too, Reaper is not the automatic answer. I have a friend who is a full-time professional who has tried almost all the DAWs out there, including Reaper. He does acknowledge how powerful it is, but he does not want to use it because of the outdated UI and has zero interest in spending time customizing anything. He just wants to make music. That said, if you are a power user, I mean someone who likes customization, deep control, and building their own workflow, then Reaper might be the best choice. I mean, it is kind of like the Linux in the DAW market. It takes some work to make it your own, but once you do, it is insanely powerful. Then there's the money side. With Cakewalk, to unlock things like plugin oversampling and other features behind the paywall, you're looking at around $100 per year, and to really justify that, you would have to use their distribution services and samples, and might even have to buy into their ecosystem. If it works for you, then that's great. But when you consider Reaper, it's just $60 and it will cover 4+ years just for the DAW, which means you're free to choose your distribution and sample services based on your needs, your quality preferences, and your budget. So these are the things that matter to me. Let me know what matters to you between these two DAWs, and let's have a discussion in the comments. And with that, this is ADK, and I will see you in the next video.